Good morning, everybody. Good morning. A bit of an unconventional start. We lost out on the Minister of Civil Aviation. He had other commitments which he needed to go to, but we felt that we have fantastic office bearers, and perhaps they are equally, if not better, to kickstart the Foundation Day today. So a warm welcome to you, Naren. It's great to have you here. Sunita is just going to join us. She's coming from a hotel and there's been some traffic, so we'll give her some time before we do the lamp lighting, because we can't do that without the President. But it's a pleasure to have you all with us this morning, and thank you so much for joining us for IMA's 69th Foundation Day, which is also observed as the National Management Day across the country. As you know, the Foundation Day format used to be for half a day, and we used to give the IMA J.R.D. Tata Award and the other awards. We shifted this format because we wanted to make sure that we give these awards at another big event of ours, which is the National Leadership Conclave, which is going to be held in April, 15th April. And I hope I'll see many of you there. And we have made the Foundation Day for the first time for the full day. And we have tried to keep some interesting sessions. So I hope all of you will enjoy what we have put together for you. And also the Managing India Awards, which for the first time will be held in February. We have a absolutely rocking list of award winners, and most of them are here with us in the evening. So I hope to see many of you or all of you with us in the evening when we do the awards. I want to specially welcome all our past presidents and council members, all the IMA members, the LMA leaders and friends of IMA in the audience. Thank you so much for joining us for Delhi. This is an early morning start, so thank you for making it on time. It's a pleasure to have each one of you with us this morning, and we are very grateful for your sustained engagement and support. Ladies and gentlemen, IMA enters its 69th year today, and it's still going from strength to strength. IMA has led India's management movement with great purpose, and it has more than fulfilled its management of building management capacity of Indian economy through education, testing, training, and executive development. Through all these years, IMA has shown the way forward to Indian management and prepared it to meet every new opportunity and challenge. The Foundation Day is an occasion for IMA to renew its commitment to enhance India's management know-how and make Indian economy more productive. The economy is undergoing unprecedented changes, and IMA is helping India's management leaders navigate the churn and stay ahead of the curve. IMA is creating new opportunities for India's management leaders to get exposure to the latest technology and management innovations. Just as an example, apart from its very popular Global Advanced Management Program, which IMA has been conducting in the Silicon Valley now, I think, for the last 12 to 13 years, we have decided to make this program twice a year because we've got an excellent response to this program, which exposes Indian delegates to what is happening as far as innovation is concerned in actually the hotbed of innovation in the world, which is the Silicon Valley. Seeing its success, we are also launching a Global Advanced Management Program for senior leaders in Europe this year. Let me welcome Sunita. Thank you for joining us, Sunita. So after two successful management, we decided to launch another international format, which is the Global Innovation and Management Program. It's a shorter format than the Global Advanced Management Program, which we launched in Kuala Lumpur and Dubai last year. And this year we would be launching this program in Tokyo, Japan, and also repeating the one in Dubai. I hope many of you would be able to join us. We've had wonderful participation from both the private and public sectors. And the focus of these programs is on innovation management and leadership. Also, for the first time, we would be launching a program with Wharton, with the professor from Wharton. And this would be in May, and I hope to see many of you there for that also. Simultaneously, we are also refreshing our education and executive training programs to bring India's managers up to speed with the emerging trends in business and management. IMA provides important thought leadership to Indian management, and today we are privileged to have some of India's most accomplished and influential leaders to share their experience and ideas with us. In today's program, we will focus on building tomorrow's India by unlocking industry, innovation, and talent. We will take stock of India's technological transformation through digital public infrastructure and AI, and explore policy measures to make Indian economy more competitive. We will list the steps that are required to make India the pivotal economy of the world and map India's path to becoming a developed country by 2047. We will also have conversations with some of India's distinguished business leaders and a trend-setting filmmaker about their journeys. The Foundation Day is special for IMA because the day's deliberations, as I said earlier, will be followed by the presentation of the prestigious IMA Managing India Awards. These awards are unique because they are judged by the peers of the nominated persons and organizations. Leading economic ministers from Government of India have graciously agreed to present the awards. I invite you to join us for the awards in the evening. With these words, a very warm welcome to all of you once again, and I wish you a wonderful day ahead full of learning. We will also now start the we'll do the lamp lighting, and for that may I invite the IMA past presidents and council members to also join us on the dais. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. May I request the dignitaries on the dais to please light up the ceremonial lamp. May I request all the past presidents of IMA to please join us on stage as well for the lamp lighting ceremony. Thank you, sirs. Thank you, ma'ams, for doing us the honors. May I now request Mr. T.V. Narendran to deliver his welcome address.
Good morning, everyone. Ms. Sunita Reddy, President IMA and Managing Director, Apollo Hospitals. Ms. Rekha Sethi, Director General IMA, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you with us, and a very warm welcome to each one of you in today's celebration of IMA's 69th Foundation Day. This occasion is also the official National Management Day, and it's being celebrated by the management associations across the country. Sunita, it's a pleasure to have you with us, and many thanks for joining us this morning. It's a privilege to have you as a leader of IMA, and we appreciate your tremendous contribution in strengthening the organization and helping it fulfill its mandate. A very warm welcome to you. A very warm welcome to all the past presidents of IMA. I join Rekha in welcoming them, who have joined us this morning, and the council members who are here as well. Thanks to your vision and efforts, IMA is able to make a meaningful contribution to the Indian economy, and IMA has gained a place of special eminence amongst India's business and government leaders, as well as management professionals and students. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and today we dedicate ourselves to strengthening IMA further and helping Indian management leadership navigate the ongoing economic, technological, and business revolutions. We also have leaders from the local management associations from many parts of the country, and I welcome them very warmly. You are the frontline soldiers of IMA, and IMA is always there to support you in your endeavors. Thank you for being with us on IMA's Foundation Day. It is IMA's tradition to mark its Foundation Day with conversations about the prevailing and emerging issues that concern India's management leaders. And today's program is dedicated to making an India of tomorrow by unlocking its industry, innovation, and talent. Indian economy is in a relatively good shape considering what's happening across the world and the resulting constraints that it puts on our growth. India's GDP for this year is likely to be around 6.4% over last year, and it's expected to hold or even gain momentum in the coming years. India's domestic investment and consumption are adequate for this run rate, but India needs to grow at more than 8% a year if it has to achieve the target of becoming a developed country by 2047. To accelerate growth, it is essential that India unlocks its potential by adopting more productive policies and practices, and also giving a free run to entrepreneurs, innovators, and professionals. Indian economy could use less cumbersome regulations of land, labor, lending, and for business operations. The momentum of investment in physical and digital infrastructure must continue, and industrial policy must encourage world-class products and production for the world. India also has the additional leverage of being a big consumption center for the world. India has plenty of room for raising human productivity while shifting to greater use of automation technologies. At the same time, the foundational issues like good health, education, professional training, and also fair remuneration for India's population are essential to raise both the output and the value addition in the Indian economy. The economy, like I said, is doing okay given the challenging circumstances across the world, but having said that, there is a lot more that needs to be done. The government's recent budget has announced new tax and investment measures to boost growth. Barring something unforeseen, India's GDP is expected to stay at this growth rate at least for the next 5 years, and IMF has estimated that the Indian economy will cross the 5 trillion mark by 2028, and then it will only take a few more years to add another $1 trillion to that output. India needs all its economic engines to fire simultaneously to ensure an average GDP growth of over 8%, which is what we need to achieve over the next 2 decades. And India needs to produce more, export more, and consume more to achieve a high income level for all its people. India's services sector has developed quite rapidly and more rapidly than the manufacturing or the rest of the economy. But India needs its manufacturing sector and particularly to do more, because the transition will not happen from an agrarian economy to a services economy without having a strong manufacturing economy. And India's share of global services economy today exceeds 4%, despite it being a low middle income country, whereas the share of global manufacturing is under 3% despite having huge labor availability and competitive wages. Today we will be discussing this subject as well, and how can all these sectors be marching together. The government is doing its bit to sustain the growth, and the proposal to leave more money in the hands of lower middle class taxpayers should give an impetus to urban consumer spending and encourage more investment in production and commerce. Rising consumer spending has to go hand in hand with the government spending to sustain GDP growth at a high level, because India has made this transition from being just consumption-led to being investment-led, particularly over the last few years. But the growth also has to be fiscally and environmentally prudent. Today, India's debt is less than its GDP, and there is some room to borrow and spend without creating too much risk. But there has to be a continuous increase in the volume and the value of the country's output to make the debt-funded growth meaningful and the debt should be used for creating capital assets and in capital expenditure more than in revenue expenditure. India's big challenge is to switch to clean and green technologies without losing momentum and competitiveness, because some of the countries who made this journey before us have also had to spend a lot of money to clean up, and I think India has the opportunity to have clean and green growth. Increasingly, India will also face policies which will be loaded against us if we are not green enough. The proposed reforms in taxation, industry regulation and trade treaties should help sustain India's high optimism about its economic destiny, and the use of tariff to enforce assembly of electronic and clean tech products in India will also promote local expertise, create jobs and build domestic supply chains for critical products. The creation of a new fund of funds for deep tech startups would enable the next generation startups to drive the contribution of the space technology is also a matter of a great pride, particularly not just what we are doing as ISRO, but also bringing the startup ecosystem into space technologies. Ultimately, it is for all of us as management leaders to translate the policy and the regulatory opportunities into higher growth. India's business and policy leaders need to pay special attention to geopolitics, and I think we were just talking about it before we came into the conference room, that it's a very dynamic environment where policy is changing by the day, and geopolitics is really playing out very differently from what we've seen over the last few decades. So this will have an impact on our access to foreign markets, also access to foreign technologies and materials. And India's domestic growth and competitiveness require it to have the requisite inputs and technologies, and hence it is important for India to become self-reliant as much as possible in all the important areas which will have an impact on our future. India's business leaders also have to build resilience against the tariff measures that we are starting to see, because globally countries and geographies are going to first put their interest and not necessarily be governed by the rules of world trade over the last 20 years. So hence the need for organizations and all of us as leaders to be both resilient and agile. In course of today's discussion, we will explore some of these important imperatives for India's management leadership, and we will identify the next drivers for accelerating growth. We will have some of India's top business leaders and technology innovators to tell us about the ways to unlock India's latent potential and to get to the target of becoming a developed country within the next 2 decades. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, IMA commemorates its Foundation Day by releasing a special souvenir to mark the occasion. May I request all the distinguished dignitaries on the dais to release the IMA souvenir. May I request past presidents IMA to please join us on stage for the release of the souvenir. May I now request Ms. Sunita Reddy to deliver the concluding remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Shri T.V. Narendran, Senior Vice President, IMA, and CEO and Managing Director, Tata Steel. Ms. Rekha Shetty, Director General, IMA, ladies and gentlemen, members of our council, it is indeed my privilege to conclude the inaugural address. The theme for our Foundation Day is India Tomorrow. To fully discover what is possible tomorrow, we must understand what happened to us in the past. Not too long ago, we were still a colony, a part of the British Empire, with low literacy, poverty, malnutrition, and a host of other problems. In the history of the world, 77 years is very young. We are much younger than the US, younger than the UK, and even if you compare us with some of the countries in the UN, and yet we have grown to become a world power. A country, an economy, a marketplace, and a soft power the world can never ignore. India, as a young 74-year nation, achieved the unimaginable and overtook the United Kingdom in terms of GDP to become the 5th largest economy. We have continued on that growth path and steadily reduced the gap towards becoming the 4th largest economy. I believe the EU must be very envious of us and what we have done together as a nation. We have the advantage of demographics. The median age of India today is 29. The median youth is in the mid-40s. As an author very long said that India, where it might get older before it gets richer, the EU worries whether it will get poorer as it ages even more. With 5.4% growth, India still has a spring in its step and optimistic to reach the 7 to 8% growth over the next decade. India continues to have that ambition for growth and a conviction that this is the time for it to shine. The optimism is evident in many sectors, and since the Civil Aviation Minister was supposed to be here, let me just mention a few facts about how far we've come in that journey itself. Today, if you look at civil aviation, the number of airports has doubled from 74 in 2021 to 150, and the aim is to reach 350 airports by 2047. So it's actually a doubling. India is the 3rd largest domestic market globally, and the aviation sector has grown substantially. It has grown by 15%, 13% is local travel, but 22% is international. We have the right to compete with the global hubs like Singapore and Dubai, and I think this will be an area of focus for India. India has so much to offer in terms of tourism, and I think the government working with the Aviation Ministry has done an exceptional job. Not only have they looked at spiritual tourism, but they've also looked, and I say this with great pride, that they're also looking at health tourism, which is medical value travel with Heal in India. The tourism sector contributes to 5.6% of GDP, and it can do so much more, and hopefully by 2047 these numbers will increase. It also employs 36.1 million Indians, and as part of the growth you can expect a 20% increase in creating jobs. Creating jobs not only for the aviation but for the tourism industry, for the healthcare industry, and for the entire economy of India. Another sector which I am proud to speak about is the science and space. And ISRO, a government organization that has been leading the way in frugal innovation. We are so proud that one of our own spaceships landed on the dark side of the moon, something that a developing country had never done before. In the past few years, we have, from IIT, the collaboration with institutes of learning like IIT have yielded exponential innovation. One example of this is Agnikul. There are many, many more, and you will hear about, in the next year, the 3D printed rockets that are being done in IIT. Just last week, they announced an e-plane with a vertical takeoff. These are things that will make travel easier. These are things which is pure innovation. It is an innovation in process, and by doing so, we're still one of the cheapest innovators in this country. So with this, let me say that, that as we continue on this journey, IMA's journey has coincided with India's journey. Over the decades, IMA has been a key catalyst in dramatic transformation of Indian business and management. To quote Charles Dickens, it has been the best of times and the worst of times. And to go back to the Chinese saying, it has been the most interesting of times, where there has been geopolitical change, but still growth emanating from India, which makes the world look at us with respect and will continue to do so. But we do believe that to unlock this potential, that India has to move to the next level. Our investment in research and development is currently less than 1% of GDP. We need to take it to 3%. And I believe the private sector must partner with the government to make sure this happens. We have registered over 1,000 patents in the last year, but I think the potential of Young India, the collaboration with Wise India will make sure that research, innovation become the key. Over the next few sessions, you will hear from Niti Aayog, you will hear from Nandan Nilekani on how far we've done with digital. And as again, comparing ourselves with Europe, Europe has 27 countries, India has 28 states, but still we have a common currency, we have a digital system, Aadhaar, that works across India. And more importantly, India, as we have this dialogue on the states and the country, it is more than the sum of its parts. And this is really what will continue to keep us growing. So we're not competing with France, we're not competing with Germany, we're competing with the EU. And that is our long-term vision, that in India itself, that we can create an economy that is as strong as the EU, and I'm sure that we will continue to do so. I would be failing in my duty if I didn't thank Naren. Naren has always been there. He brings wisdom, knowledge, experience to IMA, and thank you, Naren, for your words of wisdom. And Rekha, thank you for curating a very interesting series of discussions for us. You and the IMA team and IMA leadership, including our senior members and our past presidents, have managed a coup of sorts with bringing exceptional talent to present to us on this very special day. Today's program is curated with the best and brightest sons of our soil, a very distinguished lineup of speakers who will provoke our thinking, challenge our mindsets, and bring out the best ideas. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. I promise that this will be a very special session where you will hear from leaders of the industry, people who have really executed not just a dream, but they're focused on speed, they've scale, they're focused on innovation, and these learnings, I believe, will be relevant for the India of tomorrow, which is our theme, unlocking industry, innovation, and talent. Thank you again for being with us this morning. Namaste.